Welcome to the Momentum Podcast, where we feature founders and industry leaders who are bold, brilliant, and built to last. I'm Theresa Bassett, author, speaker, and CEO of the Diamond Group, an SMB sales and marketing agency. I'm here to share real stories and strategies from founders and leaders breaking through to their next level. I love helping small businesses grow. My mission: to help entrepreneurs just like you build sustainable, scalable businesses that align with your purpose and create lasting impact. On this show, we sit down with small business owners, growth stage founders, and change makers who are navigating the messy middle of scaling. Episodes typically run about 30 to 40 minutes, packed with insights, practical takeaways, and raw conversations. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to the Momentum Podcast Show. I'm our host, Theresa Bassett, CEO of the Diamond Group, and I'm so excited today to welcome my newest guest, Adam Povlitz with Anago Cleaning Solutions. I'm so excited. As president and CEO, I know that you have been doing this a long time. You're looking for great franchisees to really be successful in their own businesses and set them up. How did you get here, Adam? Tell us your story. I'd love to learn.
Yeah, so you're not thinking that I woke up and just was like, I want to be a janitor when I grow up.
Well, most people, they go to school for something and then they end up doing something very different. So,
That's
but I think you're in one of the best industries on the planet and probably one of the most resilient industries out there. So we're going to talk more about that. So I love it. But yeah, tell us how you happened into it.
well, you hit the nail on the head right there, right? So my background is actually corporate finance. I actually was in investment banking, and then I moved to corporate finance, and I had no interest, no knowledge of the industry. Even though, frankly, my father was the founder of the business.
Oh
He
yeah.
founded it in 1989. I did not even get involved until 2009. I was a finance dork. I was working at IBM up in New York for a little while. Um, and long story short, they were doing a big round of layoffs. I wasn't laid off. I was one of the analysts. I was given employee numbers and exit packages and had to help them determine who was
Goodness.
getting what kind of exit package. And I was probably late 20s at this point, and it just leaves like a giant pit in your stomach when you
I
go
was
through
going to
something
say
like that.
late
And you,
20s to deliver that news too. That was
yeah,
like a
yeah.
massive learning curve and,
Oh man.
talk about out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah, world's least favorite employee there. But you go, okay, so this could easily be, I could be here 20 years from now, and they hired some other 20-year-old kid who's deciding my fate, who doesn't know my name, only has my employee number and my salary package. And you go, no, this isn't for me. And I happened to be down for the holidays. I was meeting with my dad, and he goes, you gotta check this whole Anago thing out. I think I have the tiger by the tail. And it was about 6 months later that I ended up joining. And he goes, congratulations on leaving your fancy finance job. Your first job at Anago, you're going to be a telemarketer by day, and at night you're going to be a franchisee's assistant, and I clean daycares. So it was like, you go from corporate finance behind a desk at IBM to like, you know, giant 56-gallon drum things of dirty diapers. Yeah,
Oh my
it
gosh.
was
But he
quite the
probably knew
switch.
that you needed to get in the trenches so you could see, what was going on behind the scenes so that you really could
Exactly,
relate to the people
exactly.
getting in the business.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that was one of the most valuable things is like someone asked me, I was on a show just recently, and they said, if you were to, be the CEO of another company, how would you handle it? And I was like, man, if I was the CEO of McDonald's tomorrow, the first thing I would do is like, get me on that, the burger line. I'm flipping
Yeah.
burgers for a few days. Get me on the
Yeah.
drive-through. I need to see what the customer is experiencing. I need to see what the frontline employees are feeling every day, because that's how you really know what's going on in your business. Not It's not from reports and all that. And all that's very insightful, but to like really get a sense of how it feels, there's no
Yeah.
better way. And so I'm, as much as in the moment I was like, oh gosh, this is gonna be another 12-hour day. In hindsight, it was, I mean, it was absolutely invaluable to do. I mean, I literally did everything. I did that. I did client sales, I did customer service. And then when I moved to the corporate office, he put me in the field. And I'm probably, again, late 20s, maybe almost 30 at this point. And and I was traveling the country meeting with all of our master franchisees. And kind of it's like, well, who the heck are you? Like, oh,
Yeah.
you're the founder's son. Why should we listen to you? What do you know? You're just started. And so I had to take an approach of very much like a servant leadership approach. So it's like, how can I help you? I haven't
Yeah.
been in this business as long as you have, but what are some things we can do to make this, make your business more revenue, more profitable, less expensive, less stressful, whatever. Um, how
I
can
love
we
that.
make your business run better? And I think kind of having gone through it in that order position me so that I'm very much, I feel like I still position how we manage, even as a CEO, that's how we manage all of our franchise relationships. Of like, look, at the end of the day, I don't make any money unless you make money, right? Because that's how royalty gets made. So
Yeah.
my whole objective has to be like, how do I make it easier for you to grow? And so that's kind of how we manage Anago today.
I think that's brilliant though, Adam, because coming into it the way you did, first of all, it sounds like you have a very smart father. Like he laid out a pretty good path for you and you didn't even it was hindsight that was clear, right? And you could see
Yeah.
like, the method behind the madness later on, but um the humility that takes to that servant leadership mindset. Not everybody can do that because they're so ego attached that they want to prove themselves. They want to prove that they're, deserve to have that spot and that they're not just, there because they're related, right, to the family
Yeah.
business. But I love that you kind of flipped the script on that and made it about them. Because you're right, you probably gleaned so many insights out of that posture that you never would have the other way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And another thing he even did just to add to that is so other than the traveling, my first official role at the corporate office, I was in human resources. And I don't
Smart.
know anything about human resources. That is not my background. I was a numbers guy, right? And so
Yeah.
it was like, why the heck did you put me in human resources? And he goes, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to get a job description from every single employee. And now you go, okay, now I know who does what,
Yeah.
who's act, and then and you can kind of quickly find out when you get everybody's job description all at once. You find out like who's working and kind of who's full of it and not really
Yeah.
doing that much. Um, and so it was very, very easy for me to, evaluate everyone on staff, evaluate all of our franchisees, just from a standpoint of coming in and going like, tell me what you do. Tell me how your day goes. Tell me, how can I help make your job better? And
Yeah.
over doing that,
You
it
had a
just
chance to do that round robin kind of
exactly.
style in the different departments. And so it sounds like you just got so much context doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So I would imagine as CEO and president that you're still very active in the frontline recruiting of franchisees
Oh
and
yeah.
kind of vetting them, correct?
So we have someone who manages the process, but I actually insist. They call it the culture call now. I get a cute name for it, but
Yeah.
I insist on every single person who gets far enough along where they're ready to make a decision. I want to have a personal phone call with them.
Yeah.
Um, and literally the first probably 20, 30 minutes of it is like, hey, I don't know you, we're strangers, just
Yeah.
tell me like, who are
Get to know
you?
each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
personally, professionally, what made you think you wanted to do this whole Anago thing? I'd make a joke of it, like, like, so you want to be a janitor, like,
Yeah.
even though in our model, right, the master
Yeah.
franchise doesn't do any cleaning, but it's like, so you want to be a janitor, huh? What's wrong with you? Um, but
Yeah.
I want to know who they are because at the end of the day, I mean, our franchise agreements are 10-year agreements. So it's like,
The
it's a
commitment.
wedding. We're getting
Yeah.
married.
Yeah.
Hell, 10 years is probably longer than some marriages last these days, right? So,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
yes.
but you go, so hey, we're married for at least the next 10 years, and they all have an option to renew for another 10. So it's like it's you and me, buddy, for the next 20 years. Do
And
we, is it a good fit?
Yeah, well, and to that point, you obviously want to set them up for success. You want to make sure they are a good fit for the culture, so that they're set up for the long haul. But beyond the getting to know you stage, at this point, you're listening for some things, I'm sure, that indicates indicator lights, because you can probably see the future writing on the wall, right? Long before anybody can. So, what are you looking for in those entrepreneurs, whether they be master franchisees, or a single, location? But what are you looking for that is going to help people get into momentum, really set them up for success, and keep them for the long haul? What are you listening for?
So it's definitely it's very much like a soft, it's an intangible thing that I'm looking for. But and it sounds kind of cheesy, but it's drive. This is so I try to make paint very clearly that this is not I say it's not a field of dreams, right? Remember that if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
It's not if you open, I'll pick on
Not,
McDonald's since I was
not
talking
going to
about them
fall in your lap.
earlier.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like a McDonald's like I was talking about earlier, where like you spend the capital, you set up the restaurant, and then McDonald's does all the advertising, and people just show up at your restaurant. This is
Hmm.
an outbound, like hunter mentality. You have to go sell the next cleaning customer you're going to clean. So you have to every day. I tell the story that it's an old African proverb, and they say every day in Africa the lion wakes up and it has to outrun the slowest gazelle or it goes hungry. And the gazelle wakes up and it has to outrun the fastest lion or it gets eaten.
It's
But
eaten.
everybody wakes up running.
Mm.
And I share that with them, and it's like, are you someone who is waiting for something to fall in your lap, or are you the one who wakes up in the morning and it's like, what can I get done today? Like, what gazelle can I eat? What can I
Yeah.
go and like, I got 10 more proposals I got to get out. I want to make sure I get this new salesperson ready to go and trained. I want to try this
Yeah.
new thing. I want to experiment, but it's that drive, it's that hunger I'm looking for. Um, and then I usually joke and I quote, I hate to say it, I quote Ben Affleck from Boiler Room. And I go, listen, and if that's not the lifestyle for you, where you're waking up needing to go after it every single day, like it's okay. Go teach third grade or something like
Right.
that. That's what he says. He goes, go teach third grade. It is not for everybody. It is
It's
very
not for
much a
everybody.
hunter mentality franchise, not a gatherer, not a farmer. It's a hunter franchise.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Well, and there's a big difference in that mentality, right? And like you said, it's not for everyone. And I guess as someone who is also a hunter, like um, you know, the very reason, that we're talking about this now 30 years after, my start as an entrepreneur, is because there is a drive, there is a fire in the belly. And then people will say, well, when is it going to be enough? Like, when are you done creating? When are you done pushing the envelope? What is enough?
Never.
And it's like, well, that's not actually the way I'm made at all.
Yeah, never.
Like that is just a silly question for those kind of people, right?
Yeah,
And those are so I love that you're looking for that, way up front in the process, because you're right. At the end of the day, I don't think you can train that into people, and that's not about the opportunity, right?
yeah,
Like that's not
exactly.
about bringing them into the Anago culture and then showing them your way. And now
Right.
all of a sudden they're going to have that fire in their belly. They've got to have that baked into their DNA
Yep.
long
Yep.
before they meet Adam.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And you
So
and you can tell when you meet people, right? You go, okay, this person doesn't have any questions. They're, when I push back on them, they just let me have it. They don't push back at all on me, again and say, well, what about this? Um, the people you just know it. You know the personality of someone who, like, are they completely shy and totally afraid to speak with me because I'm the big bad CEO? And it's like, okay, now what are they going to do in front of a customer?
yeah,
They're going, oh, this is, are
yeah,
they intimidated? Or are they, hey, how you doing? People are people. I don't care what your title is. You go, okay, I can already see it in this person. Are they a people person or are they a systems and numbers person? And while systems and numbers people, you can be extremely successful in a lot of places. Um, you need the front man, so to speak, in this franchise has to be, it's all about the people and then the connections and the
Making the
networking.
relationships
And
and the
yeah,
connections.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I would think just like other franchises, you're assigned a territory. So the relationships within that territory, you have to have that hunter mentality to go out and make those relationships. And that's
Exactly.
where referral business and all of that comes from, right?
You got, hey, you want to buy a franchise?
Oh, I get it, Adam. I get it. Yeah, I get it 100%. And yeah, we should probably talk about that at some other point. It's so funny because my stepdaughter's been talking about, hey, because we're always talking business ideas and dreaming up new businesses. And the latest one is a cleaning company. Um, and
I
in
have
part
ideas.
because, we're in marketing, we're in sales and marketing. We see that the landscape shifting dramatically in AI. And, we're in it for the long haul. The Diamond Group, I mean, we're called the Diamond Group because resiliency, like
I
small
like that.
businesses are created under pressure, marketplace pressure, just like their owners, just like your business was,
Yeah,
since 1989. So you constantly have to evolve and pivot in the marketplace. And AI is obviously changing the game, but you're never going to give chat, your office to clean
exactly.
ever.
AI is a cool space right now because it's you have, I mean, you have to be paying attention to it. If you're not, you're
Yeah,
you're already falling behind. That's like,
you're going to get
that's
run
like
over.
30 years ago saying like who's going to use laptops and computers? Like what's that all about? Like okay, well good luck to
Yeah.
you.
What's this thing
Um
called the internet? I think this is going
yeah.
to go away.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Not going away.
Um, but at the same token, because our industry, so like, right, like pros of our industry are, Amazon's not coming to town to replace it, and it can't get exported to China or something like that, and AI is going to have a very hard time. Can AI do like a giant open warehouse and do the floor care? Sure, absolutely. And of course, we're smart and we're going like, okay, we're looking into robotics and how all that works. We do need to consider all of it. But until they get to like Rosie the robot from the Jetsons, which is
Right.
a ways off, because having something that can intelligently answer questions and intelligently move around your office without knocking off your coffee cup and slapping your monitor off onto the ground,
Yeah.
we got a long time. And so you go, it's a cool space to be in because you go, how can we use AI and technology to modernize the business, knowing full well that you still have people that have to physically walk into the office to clean it. And so that's sort of the space that we're exploring right now.
Well, and honestly, sales and marketing is one of those areas that, you can utilize AI to help cultivate those relationships that you're talking
Exactly.
about. So the master franchisees can definitely get some systems in place to create sustainable relationship
Right.
building tools. And AI is helping in that space
Oh
tremendously,
yeah. Oh yeah.
tremendously. So I love that you see the opportunities and you're not afraid to consider the Rosie the robot era. But I think you're right. We're a long ways away. And if you think about the cost of adoption, right, and the just the operating prohibitive costs in adopting those things, it's just going to be a long time before that becomes mainstream enough to bring into a local cleaning company. And,
Right. Right.
right. And so I think you're in a great space, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I was looking at your map, and it looks like, obviously, it looks like you started in the Florida corridor and then grew from there. Is that
Mhm.
accurate?
Yeah, we're based out of South Florida. Our first master franchise was sold in Tampa, Florida. That was back in 1999. But then it got kind of random, right? I think we went from like Tampa to, I think we went like planted a flag in like Detroit, and then I mean it was, and then maybe like
Yeah.
Atlanta, and then somewhere in California. It sort of kind of got like shotgunned from there. I don't know. I wasn't there until 2009, like I said, so a lot of the initial map was sort of kind of like, oh, we'll sell, my dad was a pure like, serial entrepreneur. So it was like whoever had a dollar and a dream, it's like slap a logo on it. You're an Anago too.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. I
and then
love it.
and then you kind of grow up as a franchise system and you're like, oh, we actually really need like some serious systems and
Yeah.
processes in place. It's not just throw a logo on it. And so, and then obviously we've gotten a lot more structured, since in the last, what, 20 years or so.
Yeah, you've got SOPs now for everything under the sun.
Oh, everything,
And
everything.
back then, that probably was like, a dream. Right, and I think that's just part of the evolution of these companies. That's awesome. Well, what fires you up on a day-to-day basis? Obviously, you've come a long ways. I mean, 2009 wasn't yesterday, and you have to keep yourself energized and motivated, and it sounds like you've got that hunger in your belly. What keeps that hunger fed for you, Adam?
Ah, man, a lot of things keep me running. So I'm someone. I think a couple of things. Number one, um, I say I'm a recovering micromanager. I was someone who constantly, I guess the best way to say it is like as you kind of climb the ranks, right, from like manager to director to VP to president, or you do it by doing things your way, and people go like, wow, his way seems to work, so we should kind of rally around how he's doing it because we're hitting those sales numbers or the retention numbers or whatever. And then you get to the CEO role, and I would say the first half of my tenure as CEO was like learning how to CEO. And now I don't want to say I've learned it, but I'll just say I've gotten better at it. It's really exciting for me of kind of flipping the script and saying, wait a minute, every time if everything runs through me, I become the bottleneck. If I'm the only one who can make the big decisions, I become the bottleneck. And so no, it's been really exciting for me. Number one has been, I've probably in the last 3, 4 years, I've probably hired around 9 or 10 like director level and above, including 3 C-suite people, and then have deliberately gone out of the way to say silly things like, because I'm not, I didn't learn how to manage from anywhere in particular, but it was here's what we're going to do. If you and I are both sent an email, assume you're the one who's supposed to respond. And little silly things like that to get
Yeah.
them to where they need to be mentally, to
Well, you're
where I can
just
say, you're
setting them
making
up.
the decisions. All I want to do, we
Yeah.
have our weekly touch base, or in some cases, bi-monthly touch base. How's it going? What do you need my help on? How can I give you the sage advice on things that you need? And it's cool to see how, we grew to call it here, so to speak, under my watch. And now it's like me letting go
Well,
and seeing
that's
them.
what was coming to mind,
Yeah.
Adam,
And
as you were
and
talking about.
seeing,
I was thinking that the learning curve, the thing you probably had to learn at the front end of your tenure was what to let go of and then how to let go of
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
And letting go is not like my strong suit for
No.
a
No,
very,
no,
and
no.
still sometimes I'm like, oh, do I do it? But it's cool to see how much when you really have, you surround yourself with people who are frankly in a lot of regards, smarter than you on a particular topic or area of the business, and then saying like, here's sort of the guardrails, otherwise just go. And
Yeah.
then watching the business just mushroom out, that's super
That's
exciting. And so
super
it just
cool.
makes it more fun versus like, oh gosh, I have 40 decisions I have to make today. Like
Yeah.
I
No,
watch
I
I
can
watch
tell. Yeah, you seem to have a very relaxed posture, but
just means I'm slouching.
you've had a no, I don't mean it in a
I'm
negative
kidding.
way,
I'm kidding.
but it's like you can tell your journey, like you seem comfortable in your CEO skin. And I'm sure that
Yeah.
that was a journey to get there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and to be able to let go too, you have to trust the people that that you set up in those roles. And I'm sure that has taken some time to really build those people up and make sure that they are aligned with the way that you wanted things done, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and I admittedly, I'm someone who's like I'm a very particular person. You don't get, the
Right.
control freak stuff from, that's definitely also in the DNA. But and so it's sitting with people and saying, okay, here is how I like to see things. Here is how it needs to make sense to me. but otherwise, like, you do you. We're big on like, so we do, I'm sure you've heard of like EOS, Entrepreneurial
Yeah.
Operating
We're an
System,
EOS
or
company too. Yeah.
so we're not EOS technically, but we did. So I read Traction, and I loved the concept of EOS. But then I read, why the heck am I forgetting uh, uh, the name of the book? But it was by the CEO, former CEO of Intel, Andrew Grove,
Oh,
and
okay. I
his whole
thought you
thing
were
was,
going to talk about Gerber, E-Myth Mastery, but
I read that too. That's a good
yeah.
one too.
Yeah.
That we use that to explain like the unit franchise versus the master franchise a lot. But the but OKRs, objective
Okay.
key results, and so
Yep.
we that's how I manage everything now. It's this hybrid
Yep.
EOS OKRs hybrid, because it's like at the end of the day, if I'm going to let go, here is what I need. Who owns this project? What are the milestones that need to get done, and when are they going to get done?
Mhm.
What are the, important notes, the important files or whatever? Let's put it all there on the file board. I always ask, why is it important? So that everyone understands, like, is this something, so that, especially when they're sharing
So
it with
they
junior
understand
level
the context
employees,
behind what they're
right?
doing.
They
Yeah.
understand the context. And then, is it on track? Is it off track and you can recover it? Or is it off track and you need my
And
help?
that's straight out of EOS from
Yeah,
L10.
exactly.
Yeah, straight out of EOS. Well, and then freeing yourself up. So those things in place, what I've seen as a CEO is once those things are in place, you're freeing up gobs of energy and time so that you can really be the visionary CEO that the company needs you to be.
Right.
Because here's the thing,
Exactly.
nobody else is doing that piece except you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if you are bogged down in the minutia and don't have these kinds of levers to pull, these mechanisms for tracking and pulsing, right? Then you're just diluting and losing all the
Yeah.
traction, no
Yeah.
pun intended, in the space that only you can drive, which
Yeah.
is very costly to the company in ways. The opportunity cost of that is huge, and people
Right.
can't even quantify that,
Right. You
right?
end up becoming just a very reactive organization versus a proactive organization.
Yep.
And that doesn't grow. That ends up just kind of reacting to whatever's in the moment, and you kind of stagnate. So somebody taught me, it's called the Eisenhower matrix. Have you heard of the
Oh, I've never
Eisenhower
heard of that.
matrix?
No.
Once I get into it, you'll be like, oh, that sounds so familiar. So like think of like a classic, XY matrix,
Yeah.
and you have your four quadrants, and on the lines are urgency and
Okay.
importance, right?
Okay. I know what you're
And
talking about now. Yeah.
yeah, now you know. No one knows the
I
name.
never heard
Everyone
the
knows
title.
the yeah.
Yeah.
It's Eisenhower matrix.
Okay.
But so you have your, everyone has their urgent and important, right? Like, maybe you have young kids, and the school calls and you got to go pick them up. Like, you got to do it. You got to drop everything. Do it
Right.
now. And you have your not urgent, not important, which is like scrolling through social media, watching Netflix, like whatever. And then you have the other quadrant, which is uh, urgent but not important. That is what so many people spend
Kills
in
you.
their whole day. And it's like, oh,
Right.
I got to put all of these fires, I got to deal with these emails. And I don't mean they're not important, like they're not important people or they're not important tasks, but like from an organizational perspective, are you
Yep.
really moving the needle forward? The answer is probably no. It's just getting through the fires of the day. And so
Well,
the last quadrant is important but not urgent. And
and
I've realized, for me personally, I have to do everything I possibly can to spend as much time as humanly possible in the important but not urgent quadrant. And so, like, for example, we're in the process of, probably 3 years deep now, in the process of doing rewriting our entire CRM process, our entire CRM. We're changing website agencies. I literally created this whole AI initiative for our team, and I'm kind of sort of forcing it down the throats of everybody, because it's like, we're going to learn it, period. But it's stuff like, if I told my staff, like, hey, here, who wants to spend an
right, you
extra
can't
half
just
hour a day
delegate that
learning
off.
AI, they're
Yeah.
gonna be like, like, I want to get my job done and go home and hang out with my family. What are you talking about? And so
Yeah.
I spend all of my time, as much as I can, in that important but not urgent, because that, at the end of the day, that's where we're going to be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. Is dreaming up what to do next in that area not the fires, not the, the craziness of the day. And so that to me, if you were going to, kind of all the way back to your original question, that's what keeps me excited because I get to focus solely and solely on the
Yeah.
creative and the what if and the what could be type of
You
world.
you and I are like cut out of the same cloth. I'm listening to you talk, and I resemble all these remarks. Yeah, and actually, the Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, he talks about the zone of your competence, the zone of your genius, the zone of your excellence, and the quadrant you're talking about is the zone of your genius, where it's important, not urgent. Only you can do the things you can do, right? And the zone of your excellence. And you're right, as soon as you start to shift your mindset and you can really spend time in those quadrants, then you're back and pushing the envelope and really driving progress and innovation
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
organization. So,
yeah.
well, hats off to you for seeing it and humbling yourself to the learning curve and the process. And it sounds like your organization is, well, they're just lucky to have you, Adam. I mean, honestly, I know that you
I'll pay
probably,
you later.
yeah. I mean, well, and that mindset, I think there's so many entrepreneurs out there listening that probably are still majoring in minor things. And
Ooh, I
they
like
need
that.
the encouragement to let go of some of that micromanagement and empower other people. And I think that the question that comes into my mind is, yeah, but what's in it for you to let go and to allow these other people to rise? Like there's a huge payoff in being able to
Yeah,
spend the time in that quadrant that you're talking about, not just for you
yeah,
personally because it keeps you fueled up, but for
yeah.
the organization to really be able to push the envelope and progress, you know.
Yeah, I think even from a like for an entrepreneur going like, how do I even? That sounds great. Like, how do I even do that? The
Yeah.
one of the best tips I got and what started my journey. It was a good friend of mine, and he told me he goes, make a list, and the list is called things I don't want to do anymore. And I kid you not, I just sat down and I was like, God, I just like doing this. I hate doing that. And it got long and the
Yeah.
list got pretty big. And then I started kind of saying like, okay, like who would do most of this stuff? And I can say it because he knows it. I told him already. I saw what most of the stuff was, and then I went to my HR team and I go, "This sounds like a COO. Can you give me a COO job description, and then here's all the stuff I want you to add to it." And so I literally hired a person who thoroughly enjoys the list
Who
of
loves all
things I
those
don't
things?
want to do
Right.
anymore,
Yeah.
and that was like, oh, like I absolutely you know, just a breath of fresh air. And so now I always keep a things I don't want to do anymore running list. And when the
Yeah.
list gets long enough, you go, this sounds like a marketing hire. This sounds like an HR hire. This sounds like
Yeah.
operation, whatever it might be. Um, and some of them, some of them it's cool. Like we're bringing on now something because I'm so into the AI thing, but I'm like, I don't have the time to go down that. I'm like, we need like an AI champion. I don't even know. We had to make up a job description, but we're like, no, we need someone who's going to go test all the AI stuff out, test
Mhm.
it in relation to our business, and then show people in their day-to-day lives and their day-to-day jobs, like, hey, I found this AI thing, and I think it's really cool, and I think it'll make your job easier. And I go, we need to hire for that. And I don't even
It's
know what the
great.
job does, but it's like I
Yeah.
know it's going to make everyone's lives easier and make everyone happier when they have a bunch of software doing stuff for them. Because the average person doesn't have the time to go
Yeah.
experiment for a couple hours a day. But if I create a position that's your
Right.
whole job, go experiment and teach everyone else how to make their job better. And it was
Really
things I don't
smart.
want to keep doing. You,
Really smart. And operationally, what I've seen with AI, if you have that person in place that is an advocate for every department and role, across the board, and they're not just siloed looking at one small slice of the business, is that it's actually amazing how many applications there are if
oh
that
yeah,
person has the freedom to look across the spectrum,
yep,
right? At
exactly.
those things. So that's really brilliant. Well, what's your next, 12 to 24 months looking like? Obviously, you're working on the CRM project and the AI initiatives that you're driving. But what are some of your targets and goals that you're driving to?
So I'm after lots of talks with the CRM folks. We're actually and this is, I don't know when this is going to air, so maybe it'll be later, but we're in conversations to even buy it. So I'm potentially going to be in the software business on top of everything else.
Wow.
Um, we'll see how that goes. Um, and then, during COVID, we grew to, I think we were around 60-ish million in system-wide revenue. We grew to, I said, I want to be $100 million business in 2 years. We did it in 19 months. Um, and then stupid me, I stuck my neck out again. And I said, now that we're a $100 million business, I want to be a $300 million business by the end of 2028. Um, and so we're about a little over halfway there. But so
Nice.
that's the number now. And, it's doing everything we can to continue growing and empowering our franchisees to we was triple, now can double from where we're at our system-wide revenue. And I think it's
Awesome. Well, you've got a great model to do it. And so it's just a matter of, sticking to the basics that work and then continuing to innovate and then just replicate, right? And set up all these franchisees for success along the path. Well, Adam, I have no doubt you're going to hit 300 million. I can see it in your eyes, sir. So I think it's awesome. And I wish you all the very best. So if someone's out here listening and they, are thinking about, buying a franchise, they love hearing what you have to say about your culture and the business that you're building, and they want to get in contact with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
So there's a bunch. Just for informational stuff, we're at anagocleaning.com, ANAGO cleaning.com. We're on all the social medias at Anago Cleaning. And then if you want to talk to me personally, I'm super active on LinkedIn. So just type in Adam Povlitz and shoot me a note, and I will be sure to get back to you.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, my team is also going to be publicizing this episode. We'll be tagging you in your social media handles, and hopefully, all of our listeners will know right where to find you. But I'm excited because you have shared so many golden nuggets for people in terms of mindset. But even just the heart for business and for people. And I think that for those who are entering a CEO role, a leadership role of any kind, so much they can learn from this episode. So thank you so much, Adam, for sharing with our listeners. And that's what Momentum's all about, right? I really believe that we're all here to help each other. I have a blue ocean mindset in business. I think that, we can learn so much from one another. So thank you. You've inspired me today, and I know that you've inspired our listeners out there too. So
Thank you for having
awesome.
me.
Awesome. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, very good. And yeah, and we'll just encourage our listeners to reach out to you and learn more when they're ready.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again so much for tuning into the Momentum Podcast. I truly appreciate you being here. If you're a founder or entrepreneur with a story to share and you're in the growth phase of your business, I'd love to hear from you. Visit podcast.diamond-group.co to apply to be a guest. Again, that's podcast.diamond-group.co to be a guest. If this episode helped you, inspired you, or made you think differently, please share it, leave a review, or hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. Remember, my mission is to spotlight stories and strategies that help purpose-driven business owners grow with clarity, confidence, and intention. To learn more about the Diamond Group, you can go to diamond-group.co. I'm Theresa Bassett. Remember that I'm with you and for you. Onward and upward. I'll see you next time.